Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about Brand New Day. I'll be reviewing the Brand New Day thing, The Punisher. Now, if you don't know, I'm not really a fan of The Punisher. As you know, I'm not a massive fan of the character himself when it comes to lore and or character growth. But I do know that he is an impactful character in the comics when it comes to Spider-Man, and it is a really cool duo in the film, so that was really cool to see. When it comes to the character, though, I felt like he was feeling, you know, a Marvel character that, plays a role in the film, but, you can sense they had to do it because, it needed to feel grounded and really impactful, which I think really worked in the film. And for that reasoning, I was very happy that they actually added this character into the film. As you know, I went into the film thinking this is a character I have no idea whatsoever with, and I came out of the film feeling very happy about it. So let's go to Spider-Man. This film is a very heavy film centered around Peter Parker's morality between his last film, which is No Way Home, where we see that he's now been 4 years since Spider-Man. He's fighting a few villains, and he's been less Peter Parker and more Spider-Man than ever, right? So let's go to the Incredible Hulk. So when I first thought the Incredible Hulk was here, if you don't know my channel, you know that if you don't know my channel, then you should know that I love the Hulk, but especially Smart Hulk, which is one of my favorite versions of the Hulk. I know it's a controversial one, right? I've seen it online, right? Right. I think he was done really well in Endgame, and so he was implemented really, really impactfully here. And with him even in Marvel Rivals, it was very cool to see him play a big role within this film. He kind of played into that Dr. Connor's role, right? Where I feel like they kind of just took the Hulk character and just implemented it into Dr. Connor's role, and just was like, hey, this is a monster, let's just portray him that way. He's a guy who's a scientist, he's also a monster. The character's design is amazing. I love the Hulk, rampaging out. I love the design of the Hulk. I think that they really tackle that nuance when it comes to the Hulk. If you don't know, I love when they bring back Savage Hulk persona in a better and different way than it was before. Originally, he was going to be gray in the film, but then they eventually decided to go with green, probably because of course, it would have felt more beneficial, and I think it was probably the best decision. You know, I've made a lot of prediction videos about just the Hulk himself, and so when it comes to the Hulk, I've always loved what they can do with him. I've loved the fact that you can have him be the side character and play into a role. I do wish that they did more with the character when it comes to making him an impactful character. So one of the versions I'm hoping Marvel does eventually is Maestro Hulk. If you don't know who Maestro Hulk is, he is an evil version of the Hulk from a future from Earth 9200, and basically he's like the ruler of that place, and it's just a cool version of the Hulk. He has this kind of weird banter with that of the Hulk that I wish Marvel can do when it comes to the post Secret Wars. But when it comes to Hulk as a side character, I'm hoping Marvel can sideline that and just focus heavily on storylines like that of Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. Like, I don't need to see Hulk be this villain, but I need to see him, be implemented or integrated more fluently. And I think, that's a cool thing. So Spider-Man's role in the film. Spider-Man's role in the film is very much similar to that of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2, in a sense that you have this character going through a metamorphosis of his own morality. When it comes to Peter in this film, it's mutation. When it came to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, it was his own changing body because he was alone. He wanted to have MJ, he wanted everything, but he can't because of reasonings. And so I felt like this film really did a similar thing to that of Spider-Man 2. Not necessarily a storyline beat wise, but when it comes to, similar beats, it's very similar, right? I would say very similar, right? It's close, but it's similar, right? And you know that this film is gonna tackle the mutation arc, which is also from a comic book called The Other. I like that they added in a lot of Spider-Man characters, but they didn't add so much. I felt like that was one of the flaws when it comes to this film. Is just I wanted to see more Spider-Man characters, right? I know there's a lot of characters to do with Spider-Man in his mythos. I know he has Gwen Stacy, Miles Morales, and we're going to talk about them later in the video. But I felt like this film really struggled just on the side of Peter. And obviously, it has to be that way because it's focusing heavily on villains like Scorpion, who I felt was done really well. It has a really cool Insomniac kind of feel to it. The villains I don't really like. They're kind of okay. You have that Insomniac feel with one of the scenes kind of playing into that. If you didn't see in the previous one, the airplane fight. And so when it comes to Scorpion, I was very happy that they did that character justice. Tombstone, I was hoping for more, right? Especially since a lot of the scoopers online were going, hey, we're gonna see Scorpion play a bigger role. All right, so spoilers ahead. Jean Grey. So if you don't know, all right, click off. Jean Grey is in this film, and first of all, it's a perfect casting. Sadie Sink really plays the character really well. She plays that abandoned X-Men who doesn't have this sense of agency. And, with the Fox X-Men, they kind of made the character just kind of sidelines for a lot of times. I'm not saying she had amazing arcs, The Last Stand or the Days of Future Past, which was really impactful, but they didn't really resonate with me when it comes to that of the character. And so I think this film really did a solid job at introducing us to the first ever MCU X-Men. And hopefully, with Zack Schreier doing the X-Men movie, they can really give us a team that isn't that big. I don't need to see Wolverine in the X-Men team. I don't want to see, Wolverine play a big role in that film. But I think, especially since you gotta focus on Jean and Cyclops connection, right? They're a duo in the comics, and so you gotta do those two really well. And with the X-Men, I'm excited to see what Marvel has to do with that. But let's go back to Spider-Man. So, if you don't know, I love this film because of the action. Daniel Cretton just knows how to do action, right? Okay, so Dean the Wolf, right? Dean the Wolf is a character that I kind of felt was weirdly implemented. All right, listen, don't get me wrong, it's a good character. And the only good part about the character in the comics is, well, her death, all right? That was the only good part when it came to the character overall. But, I feel like they could probably go there, or they could just let her be like the officer said. Right, so this suit. When it comes to this suit, I love it. It feels like a comic book come to life, right? A lot of times in most superhero movies, they always put so much line into the work, right? If you think about it, like Ant-Man's suit in Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, or Thor Love and Thunder, which I don't mind Thor Love and Thunder, but I feel like this film really did a classic Spider-Man suit, which honestly is really cool. And I love that they did that because it just felt right, It's supposed to feel classic vibes. It's supposed to feel that way. When it comes to what I want to see in the next films, I mean, just keep it the same, maybe tweak it a bit. But let's talk about my predictions for Spider-Man 5. So let's go with Venom. Alright, listen, I don't want to see another Eddie Brock Venom. Alright? I want to see a different take. That's why I put on in the screen Scorpion, because I think that way Marvel can actually do something different that isn't just kind of repeating itself, right? I mean, we got Venom every single time, alright? Eddie Brock, it's Sony's Venom film, Spider-Man 3, you know, I feel like you have to do something different. And whether that's having it be a Scorpion Venom, then I would honestly love that. Or even Flash Thompson as like as Venom or Anti-Venom, right? Because he is normally called Anti-Venom, or sorry, Agent Venom in the comics. And I feel like Scorpion Venom would just go so hard. I mean, come on. Would you want to see this? Okay, when it comes to the Venom arc, I feel like a lot of people tend to do that. But let's go to Miles Morales. So, Miles Morales, I think there's a really cool way you can introduce it. I want it to be similar to what Insomniac did in their Spider-Man story, right? You don't see Miles throughout the story. It's still a Peter Parker-centric story, but Miles gets his powers in his own film. You have to focus on Peter Parker and have Miles be introduced, right? Don't have him be Spider-Man, have him be just Miles Morales, right? I got the Spider-Man version in Into the Spider-Verse, okay? I want to see just how he can fit into the role of Peter Parker, and, you know, eventually maybe as the post-credit scene for Spider-Man 5, have it be him being bitten by the spider, setting up that for Spider-Man 6, where they both have a duo when it comes to those two characters. I think that would be amazing. Okay, Sony? It would be fantastic, alright? You don't need to make Miles Spider-Man in the 5th film. Just make him Miles Morales, and then gradually make him into that of a Spider-Man mantle. Alright? So Marvel characters I want to see Spider-Man team up with. So, the Human Torch, of course. The Human Torch is one of my favorite Spider-Man Fantastic Four members. If you don't know, the Human Torch is a character that I have been wanting to see the MCU introduce with that of Spider-Man. And with the recent Fantastic Four film, we can finally do it, Marvel. Please, alright? I need to see this duo, alright? It's a perfect duo in the comics. It just makes sense, alright? And honestly, come on. It's just the Human Torch. It's like the same thing with the Hulk, you know? You did the Hulk in Brand New Day, you gotta do the Human Torch in Spider-Man 5, which can also set up a Future Foundation film that I will probably talk a little bit later in my next video. But I just have to see it, man. The Human Torch in the Fantastic Four was so good. I want to see him team up with Spider-Man. Alright? I feel like it would be a fantastic duo, and I feel like it would surpass that of Daredevil. Yes, I know. Daredevil. Right? When it comes to Daredevil, I have something to say, alright? I know it's going to be controversial, alright? I have never seen the Netflix Daredevil shows. Alright, I hear it. Alright, I know I'm controversial, alright? But I think it's kind of one of those things that a lot of Spider-Man fans just want to see, just because it's kind of the classic duo thing. And I mean, I don't see why. I mean, he's already made an appearance in No Way Home, so why would you want to introduce him again in, you know, another film of sorts, right? I feel like if you were going to do a team-up film, do that in Daredevil's project instead of Spider-Man. But that's just on my opinion, right? I know a lot of people want to see this team-up, so that's why I put it up here, because it's one of the team-up things that people really want to see when it comes to the MCU, and I think it's one that I would also see. So what I want to see them do with Ned Leeds and, well, MJ. Please, Marvel, don't do the Green Goblin again, alright? You did it in Spider-Man. You did it in Spider-Man No Way Home, alright? I'm not saying you don't need to do the Green Goblin in the MCU. I'm just saying do a different version, alright? Like, for starters, we have this opportunity, right? Ned Leeds doesn't know who Peter Parker is. Well, he does know his handshake, but I feel like it could be an opportunity to finally do the Hobgoblin, okay? If you're not going to do Green Goblin, just do the Hobgoblin. You have Ned Leeds, okay? Sorry. Alright, I would say please, Sony. Alright, do Ned Leeds. He is do a Hobgoblin. Alright, he is a fantastic version that you can set up perfectly. You've had the 4 films with Ned Leeds, right? Now you can have him be a villain, and it would just be, it would be fantastic. Okay. Honestly, it's one of the things that a lot of us Spider-Man fans and a lot of people that talk about Spider-Man are really wanting to see. And so I feel like it's just a perfect way to doing it, right? You have his history with the MCU, with the 4 films that you've set up already. You've got his relationship with Peter, and so making him a villain wouldn't be so bad. It would actually make the character feel so much cooler than he already is, and it would implement cool arc for Peter to go through, right? Imagine that he sees a version of Goblin, but it's not the Green Goblin. Instead, it's an Orange Goblin. This way it's like, oh, you're still that Goblin version. Oh no, wait, you're orange, and that way you still have a version of Goblin in the film without having to constantly do Green Goblin. Alright, I'm sick of it in the films. Alright, I know he's an iconic Spider-Man villain, but you don't need to do him. Alright, Hobgoblin is a perfect villain for that of Spider-Man 5. And I think it is such a perfect villain that even then I could push him into Spider-Man 6 if you don't want to do that villain so soon, right? You can lead to that of Hobgoblin. It would be a perfect closing act, right? So MJ, hear me out. I know MJ has this Paul guy. Now, if I don't really know, I don't really like Paul, and no one likes Paul. Okay, he's not the coolest character ever, but I feel like it's okay to have MJ be with someone else for at least one film, right? I don't need her to come back to Peter in Spider-Man 5. I want her to have this breaking up kind of thing and then come back together. Similar, like we don't need to see MJ just be Peter Parker's love interest. You can have him have other love interest sort of things. All right, Harry Osborn and the Osborn family. So, Harry Osborn. Now, I know Marvel's got to probably introduce this family because it is one of the characters that you just gotta do. All right. Now, for Harry, I feel like it's just don't do the Goblin persona. Okay. Like I said, if you're going to do Ned Leeds as the Green as a Goblin, you don't need to do Harry, alright? We saw it in Spider-Man 1, and so I don't want to see it again in a Spider-Man film again. I've seen it done twice now, and so it just doesn't need to happen. Just let him be a Peter Parker friend that he kind of sees as maybe in college or something like that he kind of knows of, and then them getting more and more better as friends, and maybe that's just how you do a character like him. And if you want to make him into maybe another character, go all in, mate. But just don't do Goblin, okay? I get it. It's in the comics, all right? And no anti-venom, okay? Please, no anti-venom, all right? I've seen enough Venom or anti-venom stuff, okay? Don't get me wrong. Harry as Agent Venom or anti-venom is cool, but it's just like you've done it so many times. All right, there's been countless animated films countless animated TV shows, and countless characters with that exact same thing. And I just think it's overdone and doesn't need to happen. All right, make him a friend, but don't turn him into those two. Black Cat. So if you don't know, I don't really know this character that much. I know a lot of Spider-Man fans really love Black Cat and wish that she could actually appear in the Spider-Man mental of a Spider-Man film, because she hasn't appeared at all. I mean, she made an appearance in TASM 2, but even then she wasn't actually Black Cat. She was just Felicia Hardy, right? And so when it comes to Black Cat, I'm not really sure, right? I'm not a big fan of this character. I mean, I enjoyed her in Spider-Noir, right? That in itself was really cool. But as a character in itself, I could see them doing this character. But who do you think, if she is going to be in the film, is she going to be a lover, or is she going to be like this kind of on and off kind of relationship to Peter Parker in the film? Okay, the Clone Saga, alright, the most controversial saga in the 90s, okay? So, the Clone Saga is kind of a massive saga that I don't want to go into, okay? But one of the things is, it's basically just Peter Parker being cloned multiple times, right? And now, he has two clone versions. He has Kane, who I think could be a cool character to see in a Spider-Man 5, especially since they have adapted the Brand New Day and other storyline, and the No More Day storyline. So I feel like Marvel has to adapt more obscured Spider-Man comics, right? I feel like the Clone Saga is that kind of comic that you can do easily and it would just feel great. And having Kane, well, it's just kind of perfect. I don't know which version. I mean, he could be Scarlet Spider, or he could be, the Kane version where he's just like the black suit. But obviously, the Jackal. So the Jackal, if you're going to do the Clone Saga, you gotta do the Jackal, okay? And funny enough, though, in Spider-Man Brand New Day, there actually was a reference to the Jackal with the Jackal beer brand. So they could introduce him in Spider-Man 5. I feel like that would be kind of cool. But that's all, folks. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you guys have a fantastic day. And please subscribe, and also we'll be making a prediction on, or actually a pitch for Spider-Man 5, so don't worry, it's coming soon. See you guys in the next one.